Welcome back to the Pain-Free Period podcast. I'm your host, Allie Becker, your new favorite period coach, and I'm super glad you're here because today we're talking about something that does not get talked about often enough, and that is why some women pass blood clots during their bleed and why other women pass massive blood clots in between their bleeds. If you've ever had this happen to you, you know how alarming it can be. When you look in the toilet and you see a massive blood clot the size of a golf ball or a grapefruit and you're wondering, what the fuck is happening here? Now, I've been there. I used to have massive clots and really heavy bleeding through all of my cycles. And I just thought this was normal because I didn't know any better. But later I discovered that these blood clots were actually my body's way of trying to communicate something with me. But what were they trying to tell me? Now, before we jump in any further, I just want to remind you, I am not a doctor and this is not medical advice. If your bleeding or clotting feels really extreme, definitely talk to a professional. That said, many women get dismissed by those professionals by a, you're fine, this is totally normal, nothing we can do about it, here are some pills, take this and move on sort of situation. So that's why I'm here to give you some ideas and information about some lifestyle shifts that could potentially help you shift that clotting and reduce the heavy flow of your period. Now, passing small clots during your period isn't always a big deal. They're basically just congealed blood mixed with endometrial tissues and mucus. But if you're seeing clots larger than a quarter on the regular, or you're having those massive clot releases in between your periods, or if you're soaking through protection like pads, tampons, and period panties every hour throughout your whole bleed, this could be a sign that something deeper is going on. So let's discuss some of the top causes of clotting and why they might be happening. Number one is elevated pro-inflammatory prostaglandins. Now, prostaglandins are chemical messengers that trigger uterine contractions to help shed the endometrial lining. But when you have too many of the pro-inflammatory type of prostaglandins, contractions can become stronger and more chaotic, and this can lead to bigger blood clots and heavier bleeding. Now, why might this happen? Diets high in processed foods or sugars that drive up chronic inflammation, chronic stress and poor sleep, which crank up your nervous system and can increase your inflammatory load. And not enough omega-3s, antioxidants, or nutrient-dense foods to balance everything out. Number two, low progesterone and estrogen dominance. Your endometrial lining grows under the influence of estrogen, and progesterone stabilizes it after ovulation. If progesterone is too low and estrogen is running the show, then the endometrial lining can actually become thicker than it should be. More lining can equal more tissues to shed, which can lead to more clots. But why might this happen? High stress could be stealing resources from your progesterone. Poor or irregular ovulation, which can sometimes be brought about by undereating, overtraining, thyroid issues, or conditions like PCOS. Or constant exposure to xenoestrogens found in beauty products, chemicals, or plastics, which mimic estrogen in the body. Number three, slow or uneven shedding of the lining. Sometimes your uterus just doesn't shed smoothly. Parts of the lining pool, stack up, and then flow out all at once in larger clots. Why might this happen? Weak or uncoordinated uterine contractions, which are again linked back to the prostaglandin imbalance. Structural issues like fibroids or polyps. In some cases, a narrow cervix actually slows the flow, and blood and tissue accumulate before they pass. And number four, energy deficiency at a cellular level. Now, this one doesn't get talked about as much, but if your cells, your mitochondria, aren't making enough energy, your hormone production and your tissue repair will actually lag behind. This can show up as heavier bleeding, sluggish cycles, and clotting. Why might this happen? Chronic stress, poor diet, and toxins bogging down your mitochondrial function, a sedentary lifestyle, and not enough key ingredients like magnesium or B vitamins that help power up your system. So what can help if you are experiencing heavy clotting? You can lower inflammation. Focus on an anti-inflammatory diet. Prioritize whole foods, omega-3s, leafy greens, and natural antioxidants like berries, and cut down on processed foods, refined sugars, and refined carbs. Support progesterone naturally. Prioritize sleep, manage stress, and eat enough nutrient-dense foods to properly fuel your ovulation. Then there's movement and heat therapy. Gentle exercise and warmth during your period can improve circulation and encourage your uterus to shed more efficiently. Support healthy clot breakdown. Hydrate, move your body, and include circulation supporting foods in your diet such as ginger and turmeric, and make sure you're getting enough vitamin C and zinc. And lastly, rule out bigger stuff. If you implement these lifestyle shifts and over a period of time you are still seeing heavy clotting and very heavy bleeding, you might want to consider consulting a doctor or gynecologist about other underlying issues like fibroids, adenomyosis, or thyroid issues. Here's what I want you to take away. Clots are not random. They are signals. They often point to inflammation, hormone imbalances, or inefficient shedding. The good news is that you have more influence than you've been told. What you eat, how you sleep, how you move, and how you handle stress all shift how your body experiences your period. Start with awareness, notice the pattern, and then start stacking these small changes because those will add up to big shifts in your cycle. Thanks for tuning in to the Pain Free Period podcast. If you found this episode helpful, like, subscribe, share it with a friend who you know struggles with heavy bleeding and heavy clotting so that we can support each other in making the changes necessary to have better cycle health and better mental and physical health overall. Lastly, I'm excited to announce that the Pain Free Period program will be open for fall enrollment starting this Friday, September 19th. So if you're interested, click the link in the bio below to learn more about the Pain Free Period program. I'll see you next week on the Pain Free Period podcast.